Mahalo. Ui or Kai. I know
Yeah,
you both.
I can take it from here
Mahalo
for the
Ui.
questions. Thanks, Hokai Kina. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Uilani Kiaha. Let me turn my video on. Okay, let's see myself. Hopefully you can see me. I'm not sure if I can see me, but my name is Uilani Kiaha, and I serve as the secretary for the Native Wine Gathering Rights. And there are a few questions in the chat. One of the questions was from Gayla Halinia Floyd, and she said, how do we monitor people from coming in from outer islands, from taking our fish and resources?
Okay, I can answer that question. So again, the presentation, our resources is sustainable. I know that's a concern. I know that the answer is not giving up our rights and turning it over to the state to manage that. That's not going to happen. That's not the answer. That I know for sure. But through education, like through these meetings, we can have conversations. You know, when guys come from off island and they fill up their coolers and then they head it back and then they start flipping us off. That's very disrespectful. And you know, those are like want to call like individual issues. You know, you're not going to punish the entire village just because of one or two bad eggs. So those can be addressed on a issue by issue basis by I think there was one. Eventually, everybody gonna know who the boat is. Everybody knows. I know fishermen in Honolulu. I know fishermen in Maui. It's not hard to talk story with them. Hey, who these guys? Hey, we haven't talked story with them. You know, those are the things that can be resolved on that level. I hope that answered your question, but I don't believe that the answer is to trust the state because that is a big mistake. Any other question?
Yeah, there was a question from, or actually more specifically, couple comments. Donna Sterling said, I feel the driving force for the DAR and Vilanar have nothing to do with conservation of the ocean resources, but they have to come up with ways to keep their jobs, especially reinforcement. And then she also shared comments that merely support or oppose the proposal are not considered substantive, so we have to be specific. And then, yeah, any other questions? You guys can also like raise your hand
Okay,
or type it in the chat.
I see Phil Fernandez. Who is this? Is this Phil Fernandez?
No, that's me, Uncle Mango.
Oh, go ahead, Uncle Mango.
That's my real name. For the people that might be on here that have followed this a little bit, Godfrey and I had a good long talk in regards to one thing. We got to be careful that Molokai does not say we want to be exempt. I think this is something that Godfrey, we need to get out there. We do not want Molokai to be exempt from these rules, because if you really think about it, meaning exempt, that every other island can send their fishermen to our islands to get all that they want. So the bottom line is, for myself, I haven't fished now for 3 years, but I'm going back to the kai. I definitely am. And for all my brothers and sisters out there who do subsist, we need to actually just stop this right from beginning and get it to be restarted again with our brothers like Kahikina and those that do care for our people. Mahalo for letting me say that, my brother.
Thank you, Uncle Mango. Yeah, that's why I said in the very beginning, we're not asking for exemptions. That was a consideration that, Molokai gonna ask for exemption, but you know what? We're gonna be surrounded with all of these rules, and really, even if the off-island guys was to come, and when they go back, because the rule is 2 uhu in possession of 2 uhu per person per day. So even if they was to go back and the from Molokai and their cooler was full with uhu, and the game warden opened their cooler, they would be in violation. Okay, so the problem that I have with this is we have native gatherers statewide from Big Island all the way to Kauai. So if the wall is going closing on them and we're not going to work together to support this statewide, we're going to be surrounded with this mentality of everybody on a different island, or 2 per person per day. The next few generations only going to take time when Molokai going to follow suit. It already is kind of following suit. We already have people on Molokai who support these rules. So again, this is being also taught in the schools. My nephew just told me the other day, Uncle, they told us that no good overfishing because we need the fish to stimulate the reef and the coral growth because the coral is dying. So they're teaching it, they're pushing it in the young kids' heads. And that's why I'm sharing this with all of you guys so that you guys can teach in your families the right way, that it's not bad to catch fish. That's my main message today. It's not bad to catch fish. Okay, Cora, and then I see Uncle Zach. Let's go Cora first.
Hi, aloha. Godfrey, thank you. That was an awesome presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you. You had anything
Auntie, you
else?
can unmute.
Cora, you still on mute? You had anything else you wanted to share?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to know if that petition that you guys have, would you be able to do like a check box that if people check that box, that they would provide permission to forward it to our political leaders instead of us redoing a letter or making a phone call, that you have permission to utilize that petition and send it forward to our political leaders? Would that be possible? Like, wait. Would that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Cora. I believe so. I mean, it's your group and our group together gonna be working together on that. So I'm sure we can talk about that and make it happen. Let's do Uncle Zach Helm and then Clayton. I see Clayton and then
So actually, I think it was Kauilani Almeida, then
Okay.
Clayton Kubo.
okay, go Auntie Alameda and then Clayton. Go ahead.
Is
You
it my
gotta,
turn?
you gotta unmute Auntie.
Yeah, sorry, is Uncle Zach first?
No, you Auntie, and then gonna be Clayton
okay.
and then Uncle Zach. Sorry, I never
Okay,
see the order.
My question is, over so many of, I would say at least the last 5 years, communities have established themselves as protectors of their shoreline through management plans. How is it gonna affect them, or have you reached out to these communities that, like on the island of Kauai, Big Island, that we take care of shoreline management? We have shoreline management plans. And
You-
so how are these rules being introduced to us? Or this is the first time I'm hearing of it. So of these rule changes. So I thought we're supposed to be having a communication with DLNR on a regular basis regarding our management, shoreline management plans, but I'm just saying that we haven't. So how does this rules affect us?
So
And
so are you talking about when you say shoreline management plan, are you talking about CBSFAs on your specific island?
Well, there's also, within the last 5 years, I've seen many communities in the state creating and establishing themselves as a group of protectors of their shoreline through their management plans. And so what you're talking about is these rule changes that I guess is going to be across the board for everybody, but this is the first time I'm hearing about it. We take care of a shoreline in Kalapana. So, and this is the first time I've heard about it. So I'm really gonna go back and talk to the Ohana about this, because it's
Auntie,
definitely. Yes.
Auntie, thanks for asking. So what DAR and stuff is doing is basically they're introducing little parts of it. Like so recently, I think it was it last week. Kukaikina, was it last week? The last thing that we attended. Anyways, BLNR and different government agencies have introduced different pieces of it to try and see if they can introduce it as rules and regulations for us.
So
And
yeah,
they want to do it statewide. So they're doing like little pieces of this big management plan. And they have gone to different islands. Currently, they have not come to Molokai. They had a Zoom meeting with some entities, but still didn't really document well. And they're calling it their meeting notes. So if you look at, I put some links, I can put those links back into the chat. But if you look at it, they're literally like saying these are the rules that we want to propose statewide, and it would affect every island. And so they're saying that they got these community meetings that they had with all these community members from the different islands, and that's how they're getting, I guess, buy-in. So when people are saying like going to the meeting, it's good because we can get our manao in, but it's bad because then they're also just documenting and saying that they've had community meetings and so like pushing forward with their management plan. So that's kind of what we've found so far.
Oh, mahalo. So that's called divide and conquer.
yeah. So even if you have a CBSFA in a specific area, the rules that the state is proposing is going to blanket the entire state. It's going to be even in addition to the rules that those who have CBSFAs in place. And so when you ask about reaching out, I did attend the herbivore scoping meetings from Kauai, Oahu, Maui, Big Island, on Kona and Hilo. And I did share my input, and a lot of these meetings that took place, there was an overwhelming amount of non-fishermen. And that was brought up to DAR. We told them, you guys gotta have more fishermen in here, because I know for one fact that the fishermen are gonna be down with this. So again, the original herbivore proposal was to have bag limits on every Ininui, Manini, Kole. They even had bag limit on Vana, 2 Vana per person. That was the proposal, 2 Vana per person. So if you think that gonna stop, if you think this is gonna stop, it's not gonna stop. It's gonna continue. But like I said, that's why even the CBSFAs, I try to attend CBSFAs on other islands, and my input is limited because I don't live on that island. Like Maui, KNI, I went to attend maybe one or maybe I don't know, one meeting in a KNI CBSFA. I will share my manao why you guys shouldn't participate in this CBSFA. But they was adamant about it. They went push through. You know, some people think that, oh, you know what? We're gonna stop everybody else from come fishing in this area, so we can just us go and fish in this area. You know, that is not pono, number one. And then number two, then you shouldn't fish in no place else. You stay in your own area, because when time for luau, yeah, you can only catch 20 OPE in your place. That's all you're gonna catch every single day. And we know as fishermen, we're not gonna go down, spend that much energy for go down to the beach every day for trying and fill up that kind, especially with the gas prices today. Okay.
Sorry, Uncle.
Let's
So we're gonna go to
Yep.
Clayton Kubo, and then right after him is Uncle
Zach.
Zach Helm. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, how's it going? Clayton Kubo, Waimea, Kauai. I also like to add in, say, water quality, because I can definitely say this. You know, I've been talking about water quality for freaking years now, and it seems like, you know, government agencies, state, federal, county, they never even like listen to me way back when. They thought I was crazy. But now, since more people discussing and talking about them. It's like, jumping on another bandwagon. Okay. And also, right now, I'm in Missouri and it's like, oh, I don't know what, 11:30 maybe now. So maybe my mind's a little bit clouded because yes, I was supposed to be here more already, but I dedicate time and effort, especially Godfrey, we gotta all work together. We cannot continue blaming, the other guys from this island coming over here. And, it's just like the Honolulu CBSFA. I had words with them in the past and I told them, if you guys going to create something like this, then I'm hopeful that you guys going to stay in you guys' area, that you guys trying to make rules and no go mahaoy someplace else. Because in the end, it's like that's what CBSFA is. It seems like, and this is just my opinion, that they're trying to protect their area, but then afterwards go mahaoy someplace else because they get bag limits and they cannot. How can anyone harvest enough fish for a luau? That is very difficult. And the last CBSFA that came out was Miluli on the Big Island. I think it was that one there was just last year. So we need to stick together unless divisiveness, and we're going to be grumbling among ourselves. I'm going to stay on for a little while more, and I got to go. And better we talk tomorrow, Godfrey.
Okay, mahalo,
Mahalo.
Clayton.
Aloha.
Clayton is somebody that has assisted and we've worked together on many of these issues with the DAR. And mahalo, Clayton.
Hello, Clayton. Okay, so Uncle Zach and then Ui, Kahue.
Mahalo. Yeah, Kaikina, thank you so much for your presentation. I've paid attention to what you were talking about, especially when you brought up some federal regulations regarding the Hawaiian monk seal and what it does to our resources here, especially on the north, well, pretty much all over. What it does as far as the resources that they intake to survive, So I think that is something that a lot of people probably didn't understand and know about. So thank you for that. And there's something, and of course, fishing is a livelihood for all of us, for especially in our community. It's a culture. It's something to me that's got to be protected because we cannot go to luau's and like you mentioned, hopefully 20, 30 years, it'll be the same as today as far as what they provide for our painas, So the thing that I wanted to ask you, Kaikina, is, are you folks in support or opposed, like for canoe races, like for the Navahini Okekai or the Hui Ahoy, regarding having it come back to reality?
Uncle Zach, we haven't as an organization had a discussion regarding that, but I can give you my personal opinion on that. I personally don't have a problem with that. Like I said, our ocean is sustainable. A lot of boats might come in for the week, probably fish going to move out because they scared or whatever, pressure. And then when everybody leave, the fish gonna come right back in. That was according to the stats, the data also showed that I didn't share. Molokai get the highest on the north side. Molokai has one of the highest biomass in the state, even more than Kaho'olawe on unfished island. So even on our south shore, they put a map up and they put on our south shore red. And I said, this is inaccurate because on our south shore, we get plenty fish on that side. It's just because the murky water that you cannot see and only certain times you can go in. But yeah, regarding that, Uncle, I got no issues. I support. I would like to rely more on the Molokai canoe clubs. I I want to work with them and support them in what they decide. If they feel that it should come back, then let's bring it back. Because I know that they're gonna do their best to make it a low impact as best as they can. Yeah.
Yeah, one more thing too, Kaikinat Malo. When we were growing up, as from childhood days, I could remember when we used to go catch crab at the Coconut Grove and all of the South Shores. Take us 15 minutes to fill up a bucket full of kahono crab. Now today, I don't see no kahono crab. I'm not sure it's because of the the changes of the ocean due to runoffs or what have you. Maybe the limo, maybe it's detrimental to the limo. But boy, now when you gotta go look for crab, that's why everybody instead go to the alamihi and the other crab for parties. Yeah, but before, I can remember back in the 60s, we used to catch that, and then you would have it on the plate. But I just thought I'd share that with you because I used to do a lot of crabbing too. So mahalo for
Well,
your
and
presentation.
Uncle Zach, you bring up a point because there's so many factors, but they're pushing that the main problem is fishermen, and so I think that's what we oppose. We oppose that fishermen are not the problem. There are so many factors, and we propose that for fishermen, we rather do education and sessions to communicate with each other, whether it's statewide within our own communities, rather than putting restrictions on all fishermen statewide. That's not going to solve the problem that they're talking about. That's only going to limit our cultural practices and our right to eat from our resources here. So mahalo nui, Uncle. We're going to turn time to Ui and then Sherry.
Much. Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you, Uncle Zach.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Kind of faint. We gotta try speak up a little bit.
I just want to touch on a couple of things. Okay, so for me, the bottom line is we do not give up our rights, period. Community-based plans are a great thing, but not when they're enforced by the state or federal. It's enforced by the community because it's a community-based plan. And it has to have buy-in by the entire community. But to have our rights taken away because the state says, well, we're gonna say that this is what needs to be sustainable, and then apply that as a blanket across the state when every community is different is wrong, and we cannot lose our rights for that. Not as Native Hawaiians and gathering rights. And so I agree with Auntie Dar, who was saying that besides trying to enforce, our gathering rights, that they're only doing it to create jobs. I don't know if you folks saw for DAR or by DLNR, they were hiring recruits for enforcement. That looks like military. We're looking at Hawaiians versus Hawaiians again. This is like a Mauna Kea, but on our ocean. It was a scary picture. And they're all armed, right? That is a scary thing. And then what Uncle Zach was saying, about my husband then used to actually catch clams on the South Shore, and you don't see that anymore. But sustainability, yes, for a long, long time, generations upon generations, and our population hasn't changed. Our population has remained constant for the most part. So of course we are sustainable, and we need to make sure that we do not get in any way difficult. We have our own community-based planning, and we know how. So thank you very much.
Mahalo Ui for
Thank
your
you,
comment.
Yeah, I would just like
Sure.
to real quick. I just would like to reiterate. So community-based, when you hear community-based subsistence fishing areas or community-based plan, especially with the state, yeah, all it is a fancy word for more restrictive rules on top of what already get. So we need to be very careful you know, yes, I do support community. I support working together, but I don't support CBSFAs because it has nothing to do with helping the native population. When the state came and they was trying to force us and convince us to do the CBSFA over here in Momi, they asked me, they said, because they was trying up and down hours and going around in circles, and they asked, well, if there was one rule, what would you do? I told them, open turtle season. Oh, we cannot do that. That's a kind that protected by the feds. What else? What else rule you would make? I said, relocate the seal. Those two things going to increase the biomass big time, big time. But they never like, and so we told them, you know what? We see you guys later. Okay,
Another
sorry.
thing to another thing to support what Godfrey's saying, in their plans they always use Hawaiian language and Hawaiian terminology and Hawaiian pono practices, and they stick it in there using words that have been said by community members and then making it into the plan when it's taken out of context, kind of using as more of a restrictive practice rather than a cultural practice, if that makes sense. So I think that's another thing that it's kind of like cultural appropriation. They're using our culture to try and say, hey, we are doing what you guys want. Please, support what we're doing or what we want to do for you. Yeah.
These are rights to be consistent and sustainable. Community-based, by definition, is a good thing, but they bastardize it, and then now they're, how can you have a community-based when they're the enforcer? That's not a community-based anymore. I've been supportive of you folks since the beginning. So that's what I'm just trying to say. We cannot, and as Auntie was saying too about these shoreline management, people who live right, no OPV. Now there's people in Hana who are like, what do you mean? We cannot go and make OPV. Local residents are not aware of this. This will go on for, if not years or more, a generation. I don't think they realize that that's what happened. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo, Ui. Mahalo.